Tim, my brother,
Hey,
how are you, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much. What's up? What's going on? What's going on in what's happening in Milwaukee?
Oh man, just hanging in there. It's everything's going well. You know how it is right now with everything going on with this. It's a new, it's something new, right? It's a new world.
Craziness. I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, which is crazy. And the drinking age was 18. And we used to drive down from Madison to go to Milwaukee and hang out at this club called Park Avenue, which was unbelievable. The sound system was banging. The light system was incredible.
Yeah.
And then also the place called around the corner called Papagayos, which was unbelievable too. I mean, compared to the scene in Madison, coming to Milwaukee, it was a big deal.
Yeah, that Papagayos, I heard of that. That was I think I remember my brother and sister used to talk about that. So was that place jumping?
The place was off the hook. And one time we were there, and they I think it might have been during the week, but they had a comedy club there just around the corner, and in Papagayos it turned into a comedy club. And I've never been to a comedy club before. All I knew is you never want to sit in the front row and center, because that you always get beat up there. So I went there, and Andrew Dice Clay was he just did this movie Pretty in Pink or something like that. It was like an early movie that he was in. So he was on stage, and of course we're front row center, and they pulled us on stage, and he made fun of us for about 10 minutes, and that was good. Good times. Anyway, Milwaukee, love it.
What a great story, man. Yeah, no, I heard of that club. So I know a lot of my old school people are going to remember that one. So, but hey, man, listen, I want to welcome you. Welcome. This is Jose Flores live here, and so excited to talk with you. In fact, there's so much. I have so much I want to get into. I don't know where to start, but I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with this cool little story. See this right here?
They're the autograph too. Look at that.
One of my questions right there, man. So,
too.
And but yeah, let's kind of get into that just a little bit, man. That I want to tell you, Heartbeats 2 was like, I consider it a masterpiece, man. Like a game changer in music. And I know that you showed me a little bit about how you worked on it, but what was fascinating was the machine you used. Did you do that? What did you do that on?
I think it was a 4-track reel-to-reel. So all those edits are live. Is that, I believe?
Yeah.
And yeah, all live edits, and I had to cut and paste, cutting them physically.
That's where they talk a lot about the slicing and the tape and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, like
the best editor in the world, but I tell you, you get your chops when you got to make a mix every week, or 2 mixes a week, and you got to, it's all on reel-to-reel. And man, I tell you, with technology, the best button out of all the buttons, and any editor will tell you, is the undo button. Because if you slice this much tape out or this much tape out, you got to find that piece of tape, and you got to fix the edit, and you got to, oh, that's backwards. I think I go to the other end, and you got to,
Yeah, you're picking it off the cutting room floor, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. There used to be a mountain of tape, around your ankles. So it's, yeah, I love it.
Man, so the thing about with I always, it's funny and true story, no exaggeration. When we were starting to when I was starting to learn how to DJ, I was like, well, if I ever get a chance to talk to Tim Spinnin Schommer, this is what I'm going to ask him. That's what I'm going to ask him. But the thing was, what I really loved on that mix, there's so much there, but the guest appearances that you had on there, and you had so many just top freestyle artists on there. What was that like for you? Kind of putting that together.
Real cool. Well, Eric G is on that one too, right? That's the one with Eric Hyde. This is Eric G. I'm in the mix, and in effect with Tim Spinnin Schommer. And Eric G is, one of my best friends in the whole wide world. And just being in the studio with him, recording "Baby You Are the One," it just, it was a laugh fest. Oh, we laughed the whole time. It really, it wasn't even about the. He wrote the song. We were in the studio, and just laughed the whole time.
Wow.
And we get together, we always share, stories. We did "Here I Go Again," Eric G and I. And there's a thing on the B side, the house, they're coming back for more, and he does this thing called or that he's talking. He goes, "Oh, I love it when you touch me there." He says it, and you know what? I cry every time I hear it. And so I got this little acapella of him saying, "Oh, you feel so good in my arms," and it makes me. It's the gift that keeps on giving, because I keep putting mixes, and I just to bust him out all the time. It's the best and he'll even tell you it's the gift that keeps on giving. Now you feel
That,
some arms.
that is so
Who
funny,
else
man.
is on there? David, I think is on there too, right? I'm not
Yeah,
going
you
to
had
cry over you.
David. You had Joel, I think,
Oh
too.
yeah,
Now,
Joel.
I wanted to ask you about that song. That's one of my, man, I love that song so much, Prisoner of Love. And when you did that part where he gave you the shout out and you brought, did you work on that record with them?
I feel like I did. Yeah, yes, I did. Yes, I did. It was JJ Flores. I think I did the dub.
Uh-huh.
It was JJ Flores' record, and
Okay.
JJ is the mastermind, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was there. We kind of had this idea of having it slow down and do the break, and then
Yeah.
come back up again, and so that's where I met Joel. He really, what a talent that guy was or is.
I
And
love
yeah.
that song. And he was out of Chicago too, right?
Yeah, South Side of Chicago. Yeah.
And I know Eric G, when I met him through you once, and he sang Forevermore at an event one time.
He was the original. Well, it was him and Troy Guy. They had a group called In Effect, and then they sang it, and then Troy took the song and went to DJ International, and Eric started his own thing.
Okay.
You've heard of Desire? That's Troy Guy.
So Desire is Troy Guy, got it. And I think I remember seeing that was the record, and I think there was a picture like on the record cover, right?
Yeah.
That was Troy Guy, got it. So that's kind of a little bit history there. So yeah, man, I'll tell you what, with the scene, and in a little bit, I want to get into like some of the new music that's out. But I saw your interview with Carlos Barrios, and I love that interview, and thank you for doing that. And the music coming out of New York, just kind of like the founders of the sound, with like all them dub versions and just all the edits and stuff like that. Such talent, right? I mean,
it was amazing. And then if you talk to Albert Cabrera, one of the Latin Rascals, and how he was doing the edits, because he was on I'm not from New York, so Kiss FM I think is the name of the station that he was on, but he was doing a lot of those multi edits, all those craziness. He was doing it with the pause button.
That's crazy.
Which is
crazy. Well, and
so genius. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was talking to Aldo Marin from Cutting Records. It's his label, and he was talking about doing mixes and just the whole creativity thing. So there'd be a bass line playing, and then you hear this on the far right side playing, and then so what he would do, record that, and then you go and switch the left and right on the turntable. So now the bass line's playing, and then
wow.
And editing back and forth, just crazy. I mean,
talent.
Time was spent and just nuts, man.
And I'll tell you what, man, when like on Heartbeats 2, and I always go back to that, but the way you used a lot of that music, you know what I mean? And the way you edited that, and you really like changed the game for the mixtapes, with freestyle mixtapes with that. The way you played just the one verse, I always know, like, I remember like coming across some of the tapes of those songs. And then when I heard the way you did it, it was the one verse and then out and moving on to the next thing. And then the way you did the blends and the acapellas. And from there, I mean, that was just a game changer, man. And, there's so much more that what you've done though, besides the mixtapes. So let's go back a little bit. Because you have a lot of fans in Milwaukee. You mentioned you're from Madison originally. How did you end up in Chicago? How did that happen?
Well, I first started was working at a teen club in Madison, and then I graduated up into a real bar, and the drinking age was 18, and I was getting really good at drinking. And I moved to Chicago with a job interview or get a job offer, and they said, "Hey, man, I'd like to do a club in Chicago." And I said, "Sure." So 2 weeks later, I'm living in Chicago, and I didn't know anybody. And I was already, like a militant about mixing and going crazy. But, when you take yourself out of your own element and then you get put in when you don't know anybody, it's like you've got tunnel vision. All I did was work at the club, go to the record shopping and mix. That's all that was the only thing. And eat bad, bad food, pizza or whatever. And a lot of McDonald's, a lot of Burger King. But, that's all that's on the menu. You know what I mean?
Wow. So then in the club scene, was freestyle starting to emerge or hadn't emerged yet?
This is 83. Billie Jean just came out. Thriller just came out. It was just an explosion of great music. Dance music was really cool. That was just a great time. Was it 83, 84, D Train and Gap Band and, Daz Band and just a great, Super Freak with James.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of some of the records that I played. So Many Men, So Little Time just came out. And, right around that time where the giant music explosion that was happening, and just dance music in general was just a great time. It was all underground too, so you wouldn't hear a lot of those songs on the radios per se, but you'd hear them, on the clubs, which is a great time for clubs.
So you were rocking that in the clubs, and how many nights a week were you out in the clubs playing?
I think it was like I don't think I worked on Monday. I think it might have been maybe. I'm going to say like probably 5 nights, 6 nights a week.
Yeah. So like full time. So
Yeah.
then were you like all over the city? I mean, Chicago's a big market. Where like
when I first started, it was just one club. I had a residency in a club, so that's all I did, And then I got after that club closed, I moved to another club called the Snuggery, and they had a bunch of different clubs all over. One in the city, one in Northbrook, Illinois, one in Schaumburg, one in Mount Prospect. So I got a chance to bounce around and hit a bunch of different clubs. But
now,
guy.
Now, were you Tim Spinnin Schommer yet at that point?
No.
So
still working on my craft,
Yeah. So then B96, huge deal right there, man. How long you were at B96 for a long time, right?
I was on B96 for 16 years, just from bouncing around the clubs and going to the working at the Snuggery. I actually left the Snuggery for a little while, and I went to Nashville for about 3 months. And 3 months because I didn't want to stay there for 4 months. I decided, I had to come back home, and just coming. And I'm, not from Chicago, but just coming up over the pass and seeing the skyline. I just had that home feeling. And then I drive home. I really realized if I want to do this the right way, I need to be where the action is. I can't just be a DJ in the club. I need to be, where they're making records. DJ International, they were making records. That's where the record pool was. Now, a record pool is a place where DJs go. Back in the day with the records, all the major labels and all the smaller labels would send their promotional copies to this place, and then all the DJs would come to this place and get their music.
Yeah.
So I got a job at the record pool where DJ International was down below. And so I'm, seeing Fast Eddie walk by, and Tyrese in the studio, and there's Boogeyman, Martin Boogeyman Luna, and seeing all these guys coming and going, Cork Steady, all the way down the line, and I show up slotting records, and it was just a great place to be, and I would get a chance to meet all the DJs and hang out, and they would come and say, "Hey man, what's hot in this? You get a pile of records this big. What's hot?" And I go, "Man, you got to play this record. The B side's cool. The A side's, leave that alone. Because like I said, I was militant. I would listen. That's all I did.
Right.
So it's like working in a record store, So it was really cool. I mean, imagine. So I'm on the burbs, and imagine. So I'm slotting records, and Fast Eddie comes in, and he goes, and he says, "Hey Tim, I'm working on something downstairs. Do you want to check it out?" Yeah. I'm like, Fast Eddie knows my name. You know what I mean? Wow, absolutely. So he, plays a song for me, and I'm like, wow. And then, later on, it was just that kind of thing. These little things, little baby steps were happening. And I'm like, holy crap. And then Julian's, was working on Jack Me Till I Scream. Hey man, you got to come up to the studio and check it out. I'm like, put this on cassette. I want to play it right now. So like I said, that's all I was doing. And then a couple times Julian started popping in the club. He'd bring his girlfriend at the time, and he'd be hanging out. And I'd be like, all right. And Julia's hanging out. And then I got a phone call. Hey, Tim, listen, I'm putting together this team. I'm like, how'd you get my number? You know what I mean? So, 16 years later, we were still at B96. That was like 30 years ago now. But, it was just a long run. We had a great time. It was just so much fun. And then, we went from, being, doing just the mix show. And then we parlayed that into, You Dance with B96.
Yep.
We got a chance to host that. I think the station wanted to pull their guys out of there, because, they got to focus on being on the radio, not being on TV.
Yeah, right.
So Julian and I started hosting the show, which was, cool. I'm so shy. Get me in front of the TV and I don't know what to do. But so that happened. And then the cool thing was that we got our foot in the door at the actual station So we're doing the mix show, and then we did this thing on Sundays called the B96 Street Flavor, where we spotlighted new music, new dance music, and we also played classics and just the underground songs that weren't really on the radio yet.
Yeah.
So it was just a great time for music. And just imagine being at a radio station that was playing, they were playing like Debbie Gibson and Paul Abdul, and us coming in and we're playing The Love I Lost and all these giant records that were never, we didn't test these records. We don't have,
And they're just hidden, right? I mean, everyone's just like,
yeah. And all of a sudden we go on the radio, we're playing those records, and it was like, it was just a great time in music, great time in just Chicago. Me anyway.
What I remember when I first started hearing about B96 at that time, I remember a lot of people in Milwaukee would go to like Racine or Kenosha, and they'd be able to like record your mixes on the weekends, the street mixes, because they get the signal, they'd receive the signal there, and that was a big thing. And people would go and like, I remember I had friends that would go out there and they'd like get a hotel room and with their recorder and record, and then they'd bring back tapes. I remember that. So
I had a friend who lived in New York too. They did the same thing. He was sending me, what was happening in New York too. So I had, a little bit of everything too. So it was a good, good input, man. You know what other people are doing.
That's wonderful, man. So when did you start at B96 about, more or less?
April of '89.
April of '89.
I want to say April 8th. Yeah, April 8th, April 9th, something like that.
So now so at that time, freestyle was like in its prime, right? Pretty much. Or was it like building up?
Yeah, I was more of a club DJ. I played everything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I loved the the exposés and the cover girls, and I loved Stevie B records and stuff like that. That was kind of I was leaning that way, but it was always house. We're in the land of house music here in Chicago, so it was all about playing house music and club music. And then when I got on the radio with Julian and Bill, I try to find my way. Mm-hmm. I like to think it's a conscious effort. I don't know if it really was or not, but I knew I wasn't going to outhouse Julian, and I wasn't going to, out Bad Boy Bill. So, I had to find a way to kind of work my way in, and I, kind of
But now at that time, you had that freestyle music was hitting in the clubs and stuff. So were you playing it like when you were working in the club? So you're kind of doing it there.
Yeah.
You're on the radio, and then you see like what they're playing with the house music, and it probably presented itself like just a natural opportunity, a natural fit. Hey.
Absolutely. We played it all over the place. Whenever we get away with it. A lot of times I would stick with the tried and true stuff. I wouldn't venture out too far. I got to keep a dance floor. On the radio, you don't have to really keep a dance floor. You just have to keep people engaged. That's why we, keep snapping in and out of music really quick.
Now, did you ever have any challenges getting like some of that? Because you played that freestyle stuff on B96, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Was that like, how was that? What was that like when you were getting that music on there? Did you run into any issues with just like, people, saying they wanted more of the pop stuff or anything like that? Or
well, when we first got on, it was like they wanted to, because they didn't understand it. It wasn't, they didn't know what they had. So we would play, like I said, Debbie Gibson. Then we play, one of theirs, one of ours, one of theirs, one of ours, one of theirs, one of ours. By week 3, it was whatever, the ratings were so explosive. Julian has all the numbers, and he would be able to tell you. But by that time, we just, did whatever we wanted to do.
I mean, the station, they saw the numbers and everything, right? And I mean, there was just, hey, keep doing what you're doing type situation, right?
It's crazy. I think the mix show just stopped on B96 last week or 2 weeks ago, something like that. So we had a long run, almost 4 years of.
Because you guys, I mean, you started that, right? Now, when you guys were on there, that was like, because Major Market, that was one of the biggest shows in the country, probably, I would think, right? I mean, you guys really had strong numbers, hey?
Yeah, it was so unique and so different from everything else that was happening.
Now, was there like, did you guys were able to collaborate whenever, like, because freestyle artists were touring at that time and coming to Chicago and stuff like that, right? So were you guys able to link up with the radio station and then with the artists, and then kind of, did you ever do that, or was that kind of separate a little bit?
Sometimes, I mean, mostly it was, if there was a promoter having a party, they would say, all right, cool. Hey, Tim, I need you for this party. We're gonna have George Lamond that's going to be there, and Sweet Sensation, and Pepper TK or whatever, one of those things. So we're gonna go. So I would keep running into all these people all the time, and after a while, hey, there's that guy again. Take another picture with me. So that's how it kind of went down.
So once you're like kind of doing your thing with the freestyle, right, making a name for yourself with that, Heartbeats, this idea for a mixtape. I mean, obviously at the time there's a lot of the mixtape era was such a great era too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
just being able to, I came in towards kind of the back end of that, and when it kind of was, things were changing. But Heartbeats, I mean, you put that together, and how many of those did you end up putting out? Like,
I put out five Heartbeats.
okay.
And then I started the series again last year, the Heartbeats on. So I got number 1. I just finished number 2. It's on the new thumb drive.
Speaking of which,
yeah.
And as we got people tuning in and checking us out here, I want to let everyone know we're doing something real special right now. Thanks to Tim, we are doing a giveaway. So what we want to do right now, before any other time passes, is we have Tim Spinnin Schommer thumb drive there with all the Heartbeats mixes. What we need you to do, everyone who's watching, go ahead and click boom. Type boom in the comments, BOOM. And we're going to talk about boom in a minute. I have a couple of questions for you, Tim, about boom. But everybody, type boom in the comments, and we're going to pick a winner. What do you think, Tim?
I love it.
Sounds great, right? How did you get boom?
You know what? Will from the group Bomb. The song that's right boy, anything goes, can you dig it? Will from Bomb. I had him come in the studio and record some stuff, and he goes, you need something in the beginning. I think you start off your mixes with a boom. And I go, I like it.
So now is he the one who did, because you've got a lot of different drops, which is a couple other ones I want to ask you about, but he's the one who did boom, and then did he rap on your mixtapes too? Because I know
What is the DJ? Or no, what makes dope? Why don't you tell me? Yeah, that's him too. Yeah,
Heartbeats too. Love that. And then you had didn't you have First Class do a rap on there too?
First Class from they did My Sweet Rose. When I was the first one to play that too, they gave it to me on cassette, and I played it on the radio from cassette. And Dino and Dominic did Tim Spinnin Schommer's in the mix, and he's got it going on.
So awesome, man. Probably the sample the drop that people probably most ask you about, right, is the Tim Spinnin, right? Tell me about that story. How did you get that?
My buddy Rusty and Julie, their daughter Rose, I wanted a kid to come on and so I could, play. I wanted it to be real individual. So, because I was playing my drops off a reel to reel, like a small reel, like this big, and I would hit Tim Spinnin Schommer's in the mix, and then I'd go back and do it again. Tim Spinnin Schommer's in the mix. So I had a couple different things that I was doing, but I wanted her to be able to pitch it. So I go, Tim. So she comes to the studio. She's 6. And she's with her mom, and I go, okay, this is what I want you to say. Tim Spinnin Schommer. I have that one too. It's boring. And so Tim Spinnin Schommer. Tim Spinnin Schommer. Like she's laughing at me. And of course I go, no, even after the tape, you can even hear me say, no. Tim Spinnin. And of course now I listen to the tape back and go, oh my God, that's gold. It's gold.
That's what's up. And people probably ask you about that a lot, right?
My friend Rose, and she's in her 30s now, and she's got her own son. Yeah, and so.
You're talking about the girl that did the drop. That drop. Wow. Yeah, that's, man, such signature stuff, man. I mean, on that mix, it's just. So,
thanks, man.
That's how I learned how. Hey, bro, that's how I learned how to mix, man. I think this isn't the first generation of that tape that I've got, man. I let my tape rock till my tape pop type. But okay, let's we remind everybody to say boom. We got people on checking us out there, and also you have a big show. Can we get into the show a little bit? Can we talk about the show?
We do this little thing on Facebook every Sunday, 7:00. Also Thursday at 7:00, and I play freestyle music. Show off my groovy dance moves.
Yeah. How's the one go where you're like hanging? How does that one go? Yeah. That. So
what's funny is if you look at the ceiling, I don't have bars. I'm just faking it.
So every Sunday and Thursday, 7:00. What do you do? How long is the show?
2 hours.
2 hour show?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sometimes if it gets good to me, I keep going and going and going. Sometimes I'm like, well, let's just stop here and.
Yeah. No, I've tuned in for sure, and actually, I was lucky enough and fortunate to visit you there one time.
Oh, that's right.
And that was up.
Good times.
So you are able to bring, like, you've had some guests on there with you, some artists and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we've had Cynthia. Cynthia's been here. We just released that Cynthia show again. We couldn't find it in all the shows. We found it and we put it up. It's at Tim Spinnin at my YouTube channel, um, and at timspinnin.com I think too.
Nice.
And Lisette Melendez, the great Lisette Melendez. It's so crazy. She was here, and I probably played both of her albums, and it was like a marathon for her. She just kept going and going, and she knew all the words.
Yes.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. It was great. Cynthia did all the songs too. It was a great time. And then we had Brenda from Seabank, Joy May. Great. We had Stephanie Bennett here. We had Elisa B was here this weekend.
Yep, I tuned in for that one a little bit. That was nice.
And what a great success story about Elisa B. I mean, she's been around for a while. She did, she toured with Maximilian. Hey Fat Boy. She did that record with Maximilian. She did. She wrote "Praying for an Angel." She wrote "In My Heart It's Only You," and "Holding On to Love."
Let me ask you about her then, because I did not know that. So Elisa B. So she's been in the game a long time then.
She's been around for a long time. She wrote her first song was "A Latin Lover" by De La Moore. I don't know if you remember that Chicago freestyle record.
Okay.
On a small label. That was her first record, and she's amazing. She's really a gifted songwriter. She wrote the song. 2006. I got an acapella of the songs that she wrote called "Sober," and it goes. I'm sober without you. I'm sober without your love, basically, and I can't live without you. I'm sober without you, and. Look I'm talking about it, the hair on my arms is sticking up. It's such a beautiful song. She's such a prolific and great songwriter that it's so cool. And so I took the acapella, and I thought it'd be cool, sober, and I took the bass line from White Lines, and put sober over. See where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
I got a theme happening.
Yeah.
And for Charlie Baby, he goes, that's no, wrong key. And so he came back and he re-edited it, and he did the music for it, and then it just blossomed into something that was even bigger. So Charlie and Elisa started writing together, and they did this song called "Legendary," song called "Tell Me," and she got a new song out called "Memories of Love," which is a smash. And on top of that, she also wrote the new TKA record, "Slipping Through My Hands." Yeah, so that's picked up all over the country in all over the place where better music is heard. Yeah,
that's amazing, man.
I'm so proud of her. It's great.
Now, did you know her like from when because she wrote "Praying for an Angel"? That's a big hit. A lot of people remember that one. So you knew her from back then, or did you guys kind of?
Our paths crossed a couple times. I didn't really know her really, really well, but it was like, hey, cool to meet you. She also wrote Angelina from Julio Angel. Angelina, come and dance with me. She wrote that song too. She's the most down to earth, coolest person too.
Yeah, so, I know. I seen her on your show, man, and
she's just so cool, man.
Sing and write, man. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, getting it right.
I wanted to ask you,
just a side thing too. When you meet people that are like that, they're very talented and they're really nice to you, and like, she doesn't have to be nice to me. She's got her own thing going. She's got her own, thing. It just, when I meet people like Lisette Melendez, she doesn't have to be nice to me, or Cynthia doesn't have to be. I always say, thanks for being so nice. Really, it's one of those things,
No, isn't it great? Because it's not always like that, right?
Yeah. And some of the people that think should be nice to you are not, and they're like, hey, man,
exactly.
Recognize.
It just says something extra special about them, right?
Absolutely.
So, there's so much to talk about with freestyle, right? I mean, really, it's so deep. And I always like to think about the Chicago movement, because even though so much stuff came out of New York where it was founded, I believe, right? So much good stuff came from Chicago. You know what I mean? And I know you have some credits, right? Some working with some artists there. But one song that I remember when it came out was by Law, and you worked with them a little bit, right? What can you tell us about how that?
Well, listen to this story about Law. At one point I lived at Illinois. I don't know if you don't know Chicago. It's okay. Illinois, Orleans. It was right off. There's 290 right here. I lived above this restaurant. Not a very high security place, that's for sure. But I came home, carrying groceries up the stairs, and then we had these Munster stairs that went up there, and my apartment was right off on the side, top of the stairs. And I looked down, and I go, "There's a tape. It's about this big, and it says Law, One More Chance for Love, Brett Walker, and with his phone number, which is, I don't remember his number, but I look around like, who knows where I live? This is
Right.
kind of creepy. And how do they get in this high security building? It wasn't high security, but so put the groceries down, walked into the studio, reeled it up, listened to One More Chance for Love. And I go, and it was just a demo. And I was like, oh my God, this is a great record. I called Brett immediately. I go, dude, so I immediately called all my friends at Cutting, Metropolitan, Micmac, and I called my guys over in Chicago, the Chicago label called Strictly Hype too. And I was like, hey man, you guys, we got something here. This is fire. Whatever you got. And they ended up signing here in Chicago at Strictly Hype, but just because they wanted to be more hands-on, and it was such a great record. And the cool thing I remember about that record is just being able to, they put it out, or they demoed it up, and they said, okay, here's the test pressing. What do you think? And I said, hold on a second, stop. This is not the same song you gave me on the reel. I mean, it was the same song, but it was saying he didn't sing it with the same same passion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I called him up and said, hey man, we need to not put this record out. We need to go back in the studio, re-sing it. And so I went to the studio. That was a real cool time for me to be in the studio while he sang. And the thing about Julio is, man, he is such an amazing vocalist. Jerry too. They're both great. And that, there's some people that have that, that can, their emotion when they talk, you can feel it. Yeah. And Julio can make you cry every time. I don't know what it is about that. Julian, Julian Perez has got that too. When he gets it, when he's talking about something emotional, it's right here. I don't know how he pulls it off, and it's not. I think it's because it's real.
Yeah, exactly.
It's real. There's nothing. Well, so one of my favorite records, One More Chance for Love, and that was my just, and I think I still have the demo. I should play it for you. Like, what the?
Yeah, that'd be interesting, man. Yeah. So what I love all of that, man. And it's interesting, like imagine, because you had sent it out, and imagine if Cutting would have picked it up or somebody, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm glad they did. And just for another, Julio and Jerry are both from the group Law, two of the funniest guys too, man. You get them together, it's like you were going to jail, bring bail money. Yeah.
Man.
We always have
I love that story, man. And they had a couple follow-ups to that, right?
Yeah, Missing Your Love. And Remember the Times, yeah.
Now, on that record, I don't remember which one it was, but there was like some house edits on there, some house mixes that I used to love. I think like DJ Tragic or something like that was on there.
Yeah, Tragic produced both of those, I think.
Yeah? Nice.
Now, super guy too, man. DJ Tragic.
That's what's up, man. I think, man, that's what's so just, wonderful is the movement that you guys had, and then you're like right in the thick of it, and obviously they get this song to you, you know what I mean, and the rest is history. How did it, what was it like with, because I know DJ International had a string of like freestyle songs, right? I know they did a lot of the hip house and all that stuff, but how do you feel about how that movement was? I mean, it was hitting pretty hard, right?
Oh, absolutely. DJ International was, Chicago put, I think, it's just debatable. I don't want to step out of turn, but from where I was sitting, every Fast Eddie record was the bomb. We had to play Cool Rock Steady. We had to play, even Communicate was one of the first records. We played Music is the Key, Jay Milk. All those records were huge. Of course, Chicago Tracks had their records too, and Daryl Pandy was there. And but being in the clubs that I was in, it was all the in your face stuff, not real deep, but more hip house. I mean, could you go anywhere without playing hip house?
Right. No, I mean,
the man.
I remember when like my I'm the youngest, so like when my brother or sister got that Fast Eddie tape and I got my hands on that, man, it was a wrap. I just played that so much, and just an era of music. I wanted to ask you about, remember the scene, how it was with all the record stores throughout the city. That was such an amazing time, because when I started DJing, we didn't have that here in Milwaukee, and we had record stores, but it wasn't like what you guys had. So
Downtown or something, right? Was it Downtown Records or was it Upstairs Records? What was it?
Which one?
Downtown.
We had a I don't remember if it was a record pool, but the record store I remember was where they sold mixtapes, was Scratch Pad. Do you remember that?
Yes, yeah, Scratch Pad. That was after, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As far as before that, that was probably a little bit before my time. But once I got to Chicago, it was just a wrap, man. And we would hit all the stores. We would go to Gramophone, to Hip House. You remember all them stores? And the first thing I would do, I walk in, they would have like, and I don't know if this, it would say Tim Spinnin Schommer selection. You sent those in every week, right?
Yeah, I think I was there every Saturday during the day or Sunday during the day. I used to go there, hang out in the DJ booth, and people would say, "Hey man, what is the song?" And I go, "Oh yeah, it's cool over here." You know, the little deal I worked out. They would give me free records, and I would do whatever they wanted. So that was part of the deal. But just hanging out and meeting people that were excited about the music, and that's really, you know, being a DJ. That's really getting people passionate and excited about the music. Is really, you know, is really what you're shooting for. You know.
Yeah, you know, I think that like just, you know, they feel that the passion, and then the move, and it's a movement, and you're a part of it, and you're just helping it, you know, pushing it along and everything. So we were talking a little bit about the new music, and I was listening to a lot of it actually just recently since I've been watching your show. I was like, I was like, that's hot, because I think there was a couple attempts at some new stuff throughout the early 2000s, I think, and I don't know how much of that like was sticking, but what they're doing now has like a lot of that sound, you know, that old school sound, but new school. You know what I mean? And I think more people need to know about that. Need to hear about that. You know what I'm saying?
There's so many great records out right now too. I mean, if you're the new Sammy Zone record, the "Believe in Love," with it, you know, featuring Brenda from Seabank. I got Carlos Barrios produced it first of all, which, you know, he's a perfectionist. Yeah. Probably, I mean, just another one of the greatest records ever. And depending on, you know, not just from today, but of all time, I think it's such a great song. You know,
and he also did. What was that?
George Anthony. I know there's a new George Amon that's coming. There's a did you hear the "Cry for Love" remake that George did too? That's really cool.
I gotta find that. I gotta find that ASAP. He did a new "Cry for Love."
The "Cry for Love" remix. Let's see.
Oh my God, I gotta write that down because I need to look that up right as soon as we're done. That's one of my favorite songs. You had that on. You have, man, Heartbeats too. That don't even get me started, man. You had that on there.
Yeah, there's George Anthony. I just pulled up a list so I can tell you about the new, you know, like we talked about the K7 or TKA. There's a record called "Don't Call Love" with Cynthia, Judy Torres at K7, which is on fire. "Dedicate" Willie Valentine is dope. Jesse B from Legacy.
He's got new stuff out.
Life.
Nice.
Shy, Diddle D, Elisa B and Raul Soto. It's called I Don't Know. Tons of great records.
So dope. You know what? This is obviously this is streaming live, but this is going to be recorded. It'll be on YouTube. That list that he just gave, we're going to go through that. We're going to make the songs, and then obviously, everybody, make sure you check out his show, Tim Spinnin Schommer, on Facebook. Right? You stream it on Facebook.
Yeah, I know. As long as we're talking about new records, you have to go check out. There's a new one I just got called Pluto by Henry Vargas, which is kind of cool too. Henry Vargas, and I just edited something else. Let me just give the name here. Luis Guervez is called why it is that, or why is it that love? Why is it that love? Okay, cool. I didn't know that. Didn't even know the title.
Man, no, that's what's up, man. I want to talk more about that, but I just want to remind everybody, we're doing a giveaway. Tim Spinnin Schommer thumb drive with all the heartbeats, all the music on there. You gotta click boom, type boom in the comments, and we'll select a winner. How great is that, right?
Cool.
It's wonderful. So all right, so now with the music, what do you think? You know, isn't it interesting how the technology and the social media has kind of helped enable the freestyle resurgence, right? Just because like everyone's able to get their stuff on their own platform and then really start to make noise with it. And if it's good, you know, it's good, and it's gonna catch on, you know? And that's what I really find interesting, because back in the day with the, you know, original stuff that came out, I wasn't there obviously, but I tend to think, what were those, you know, the relationship between the label and the artist, you know what I mean? Because, you know, a lot of those artists, I don't know what kind of deals they have, but the social media just changed the game pretty much in many ways, right? Wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah, well, you know, basically, I hate what I say, basically, but really what it is with having a record label behind you is, you know, they were a bank, they could afford to put records in the stores and let them sit there for whatever, for how long, definitely sometimes. But how the game has changed is you don't have to have any overhead. All you have to have is a laptop, and you can say, go here, give me money, and download the song. Thanks for coming. So you don't need a distribution stream. You don't have to have, it's all in place already. All you have to do, you're as big as you want. You don't have to get, of course, you don't have to get into advance, but even record labels, I wonder, they're struggling in how to recoup the money, that they're putting out. You got to pay somebody to make a flyer or a cover, even if you need a cover, and then I think what's happening now is, a lot of, like, even the major labels, they're doing 360 deals, so they're getting a piece of the shows. They get a piece of, the show and everything else that goes with it. Then they're going to sell t-shirts and hats and cups and all the stuff that goes with that too. That's really where the record labels are going. But I mean, again, like you said, you can be as big as you want now because we have this. We have this. All you got to do is have a nice piece of product, even if it's not nice. Sometimes it's about how many hands you can shake, and well, I don't really like the song, but that guy's kind of cool. That's just the way the business works.
Right. Right. It's almost like a lot more freedom, basically, right? A lot.
You're not tethered to anything.
Right. Right. And I think that, like, you mentioned shows, and that was something that I thought about when preparing kind of talk with you today. A lot of the artists are still touring, even though, like, a lot from the original hits, right? The original hit makers, I mean, are still, well, let me remind, we are in a pandemic, so it changed everything, but before that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, Cynthia, she wrote this for Change on Me when she was 17. She's still out. She was out every weekend. George Amon is out. That's his job. That's what he does. Even being a DJ, it's kind of changed everything, but just being out and getting people excited about the music, it just, Shannon. Let's talk about Shannon for a second. Let the music play.
Man, classic foundation.
Yeah, exactly. She's out doing it all the time too. It's everybody's always, always out. Lisette, works hard. One of the hardest working people in the business too. She's out doing her thing.
Speaking of which, I think I see her there, right? Lisette?
There, she's right there.
That's what's up, man.
She's looking over my shoulder, and look at that cool shirt. TimSpinnin.com. All right.
And everyone can find it, timspinnin.com.
There you go, timspinnin.com. Yeah.
But no, what you were saying though, it's so true, man. I think that, what have you seen a notice, like, since with the pandemic and everything being shut down, have you seen an increase in your show and in your viewership and stuff like that?
Yeah, it kind of varies. It varies. It happens is, like, the numbers are pretty steady, but what happens is people go back and watch it the next day.
Right. That's where you get a lot.
It's not about, it's not about appointment viewing anymore. You don't have to be there because they know it's going to be there later. So,
yeah, and you know what? Let me highlight a couple of quick things. I mean, every time you do your show twice a week, every time I tune in, you've got at least 200 to 300 people watching live, which is phenomenal. And then on the replay, 5,000 to 10,000 people probably, at least.
Yeah, they'll go back and check it out again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. It's so much fun, man. I'm really having a great time. I don't have the biggest numbers, but it's like, again, it's fun.
I'll tell you what, man. I've been starting to do a little bit about this stuff, and to get from 5 to 10 to 50 is like a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you're such an innovator, man, with what you did with the mixtapes and everything you did on the radio and stuff. How did, with the live show, Facebook, take me back to that. Like, what was going through your mind? Like, what were you thinking? How did that come about?
Well, it wasn't my idea even at all. My buddy Eric, I won't say his last name, but Eric said, hey man, you can go live on Facebook and do a thing if it's pretty cool. You should probably jump on that before everybody else starts jumping on it. I see a few people doing it. Actually, Mickey Garcia did it first. I saw him doing it too. And my buddy Eric was telling me, you should do that too, man. It'd be great. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if anybody wants to look at my face while I'm mixing. How boring, And then he goes, what do you got to lose? And so, I set it up, and I didn't want to stop. Finally, I get to play whatever I want, and not have to worry about a dance floor, or not have to worry about, just all I got to worry about is well, nothing really. Just flying under the radar and not getting cut off by Facebook now. But that's it.
That's kind of the thing that I think everyone that plays music has to kind of deal with, right? I wouldn't know how, what they end up doing with that, because I guess it's just licensing stuff and stuff like that, right? So Facebook, but then you just relaunch a show. I mean, so but do your viewers stay with you? They stay with you, right? A lot of them.
Yeah, if I get cut off too, they could usually come back. They come back.
Yeah.
They know what time it is. They know, okay, well, I got cut off. Okay, come back in.
Nice. No, I mean, like I said, and then even too, I wanted to mention when I was listening to numbers. I mean, on your Facebook, when I checked earlier, you got like over 65,000 followers on there, man. That's wonderful. That's amazing. Congratulations with all that, man. That's so great. So I gotta ask you, you got a couple records back there. What do you got? What is that? On the other side, I see a gold record. Is that a gold record I see?
Oh, over here?
Yeah, the other way. Your other shoulder.
That one.
Yes.
That's Gypsy Woman. That's Krista Waters. La da dee, la da da. I just had her sign it last time I saw her. I think it was 2 years ago or last year. And,
you had to sign it? Nice.
Yeah, after all this time, she signed it.
Nice.
If you look over this way, I can show you.
Yeah.
I've got Space Jam here. This is the CNC Music Factory. Everybody dance now. I got that to commemorate 3 million copies. And then I had Freedom Williams sign it up to 9 million, but that was like probably 8 years ago, 9 years ago. So it's probably more now too. And then over here, I got, let's see, there's Krista Waters and then K7.
Yep.
The Come Baby Come.
That's such a classic. I love that record, man.
Yeah. And then the K7 album is over there too. And then if you look over here, that's Janet Jackson from the I don't remember, 1814, 1412. Hang on. Rhythm Nation. The Rhythm Nation album. And then Gloria Estefan down below with the
hey man, look at everybody watching right now. You just got a glimpse into the world of Tim Spinnin Schommer and his studio. That's like a dream come true for me, man. I remember always be like, man, if I could just see Tim Spinnin Schommer's studio, here's what I would ask him. You know what I mean?
Raise the bar a little bit. Yeah.
On those records, so are those gold records with the K7? Are they? What are those gold?
Yeah, that's a gold record. Come Baby Come. Gold is huge now because it was in the Suicide Squad movie, so it's probably sold, double what it was before.
And what is the gold represents 500,000?
I think it's
$1 million or something like that.
This one's 500,000.
Okay, yeah. So gold. So let me ask you. So you've got these records, in your studio. Were you? Tell me a little bit about how your involvement, like was it part of the radio or the dance reporter, or what was that?
I was a Billboard dance reporter too. The same week I became a get on the radio with B96. I also became a Billboard dance reporter. So I was starting to get, record promoters would call me and ask me how the records are doing, chart the record, and they would compile my chart with other charts across the country with the other DJs in the country, and then that's how they got the Billboard dance chart. So I did that.
So, okay, that's really interesting to me because I know on those presentations, it's got your names on those plaques, right? So that's how that worked then as part of the dance reporter then. So basically,
and I was just a huge, K7, I'm a huge supporter. So
yeah, for sure. That's the bomb, dude. I love that. And how long did you do that, the dance reporter?
25 years.
Wow. Yeah. That's what's up. And that also was through B96.
No, that had nothing to do with B96. That was something separate.
Oh, that's separate. Got it. Man,
but it happened the same week. I got on the radio and I became a Billboard dance reporter. So it was like, I went from being a guy in a club to like, hey, now he's a radio DJ and a Billboard dance reporter, which carried a lot of clout with, just record companies and everything. I immediately called. It's so funny. I'll tell you, the day they asked me to be on the thing, I immediately called Cutting Records and said, hey, I just became a Billboard dance reporter. I need all your records. Because I was such a huge supporter for Cutting Records, and they were like, "Oh, let's get this guy on the list," I guess.
And how did that work out? Like every week you get a stack of records at your doorstep, or how did that work out?
FedEx, this many. UPS would bring this many every day, and then we go to the record pool and we pick up a box, and there was so many records. If you look around here, you can tell I've thinned the herd quite a bit, but. There was just a lot of, a lot of great records, and some records that just weren't my cup of tea. If you know what I mean.
It happens.
So, you can't play them all, really.
Right. No, man, that's awesome. So I mean, you had so much going on. I mean, you just had so much going on at that time. Then, from being, how often were you on the radio? Just on the weekends at that time, or?
Yeah, we were on the weekends on Friday and Saturday night. Yeah.
Yeah. And then now I do remember kind of like, because you were on B96 for a long time. I remember when I started going to Chicago hanging out. Then you were weren't you on there at different like during the week too, or was
They might have rebroadcast this again on Wednesday or during the maybe they they did a replay. That's right. I forgot about that. They replayed them on the weekend mixes
through the week? Okay, so that's when I was hearing that.
That's right. It's crazy. The first time I got my first mix on the radio. But you're a DJ. You know what I'm talking about. You've got your tried and true mixes like this. Okay, this always kills the club. I'm gonna play. This is the order. It's gonna rock it out. Kind of like a comedian. He doesn't make up new jokes every single time. He's got a tried and true set that he does. All right. So Julian says, "All right, give me an hour, best hour, dude. I didn't leave the house for 6 days. I barely ate. I'm sure just to go to the club and mix. So my first mix was perfect. He goes, all right, that's great. I need another one next week. I'm like, oh my God, how do you, and these are my tried and true. Now you got to reinvent the wheel again for the next week. It's like, oh my God.
Right. That's
such a tough thing, man. That way I just talked to Julian about the same story, and it was just so hard to do. And then we were like, get up diet. Now we had, one every week. Oh, these are great. Now we need 2 a week. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So it was just,
what's behind what was behind that? Is it just how like the program director is just trying to get as much content and just like the demand for that, like how?
So the show started would go from 8 till midnight, and like, oh, hey man, it's doing so well, let's extend it, let's go to 3.
Yeah.
So now we have more content, let's weave them in. And I know we juggle back and forth between the hour mixes and half-hour mixes and back and forth, and I think I like the hour mixes longer or better just because you can play the songs longer. But the half-hour mixes, you had to really cram them together because you wanted to, as we were told, you always have a piece of pie, and no matter where you come in, you want to take a bite of the best piece of pie that you can get. So if it's bam, 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 dope from the beginning to the end. No matter where you come, if you're not at the beginning, you're still going to get the
It's all good. It's
all good. But an hour, you kind of let it, let's let those songs play a little. I got to eat some time. I'm not really eat time, but you know what I mean? We'll just
like fillers and stuff a little bit. Yeah.
I don't want to say that out loud, but you let it breathe a little bit so you can kind of,
sure. Now, so a lot of that stuff you did on the radio was recorded. Did you guys go live too? Were you guys live mixing? Or
it was mostly pre-recorded. Oh, yeah, that's not true. Mostly pre-recorded at the beginning, and then we started doing live from Shadows, live from Eric's South, live from Eric's North, live from I'm sure I'm forgetting clubs, but we were live all over the place. So it was cool because Julian would do Eric's South, and then Bill would do live from Excalibur, and then I'd be live somewhere, and then Julian would drive like the wind to the next place, and then he'd be live, and then whatever. It was just like, it was so crazy, man. It was nuts back in the day.
That's wild, man. I mean, man, such a blessing, man. Just for you to have experienced all that.
It's so much fun, man. I wouldn't take a day back. Really, it's so much fun, and all the people that we met. I mean, being on the radio, I've interviewed with Julian. We talked to Big Pun, Mariah Carey, Fat Joe, LaBouche. They came into the studio, and Sync. All. I mean, there's just.
But you're really like. You were really just living kind of the dream because you're getting the best of all of it, right? You're doing the music, you're doing the freestyle that you have such a passion for, putting out that music in the clubs. You're on the station then you have these other stars coming in that you're working with. I mean, you really just, and then throughout the whole time, did you like gig consistently through the whole time too? Like do gigs, DJ gigs, like club gigs?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That never, there was never a time that you really weren't doing weekend gigs and stuff like that for the most part?
It might have slowed down a little bit just because I was focused on, being on the radio, or I might have had a gig, like I might have been on the air that night or running the mix show or something like that. But I don't remember it slowing. It might have slowed down a little bit.
Man, dude, that's what's up, man. I had a couple notes here on a couple of songs. So Jammy, Walk Away. That's a
Oh,
classic, right?
love that record. Love that
Um,
record. I remember being with her in New York, in Florida, and I was with Carlos Barrios, and Carlos Barrios and I uh, were with Jamie at a radio interview, and she said, "Oh yeah, that's the shit on the radio," and I was like, "Oh, what the?"
right. Um,
Like, "Oh yeah, oh I forgot." Anyway, but she was the coolest too, man. Really, really cool. I haven't seen her since then actually, but
yeah, no,
yeah.
I think, man, that's such a. I remember when that record came out, and it was just. Now, did Carlos work on it, or you don't know
Yeah,
if
that's a Carlos record for sure. Yeah.
that is the one from when I saw your interview with him? The one part of the interview that on your side B of Harpies 2, when you started off with On the Loose. I just love that part so much, man. And I didn't know that was his song.
He did the edits on that record.
I love that record, man. I love that record so much. And
I got to get back with Carlos too because went like an hour and a half or whatever it was, and we didn't even get to the Lizette Melendez album, or we didn't talk about Karina. We didn't talk about but I just wanted to let him breathe. He's such a great interview too. Did you see the Frankie Cutlass one?
I just saw that one. Love that interview because you've got the content on your YouTube page, right, Tim?
Yeah, timspinnin.com. Yeah, and you go to YouTube too. Also, I've interviewed Arthur Baker. Was a great interview too. A lot of good ones. Arthur Baker, man, Soulsonic Force, and he was talking about.
A lot of people might not recognize the name right off the bat, but I mean Diana Ross, right? I mean, like.
Yeah, you heard that. You saw it. You saw that one. That's great. Yeah.
Man, that's such a great. Was that the first time you talked with him, or did you meet him before?
I met him before.
Yeah.
Just I didn't. I mean, we weren't really friendly. He was a friend of Charlie's. Charlie worked with him back in the day. Charlie Baby.
Yeah.
Worked with him.
Now, I think I met Charlie's. I know one of your really good friends. I think I met him. He might have been there that day. I didn't know. Is he from Chicago?
He is from the Bronx. He grew up in the Bronx.
Okay.
Yeah, which is and he's so many stories, man. Listen. I'm just gonna tell you a quick Charlie Baby story. He was telling me that in his high school dances, he would have Grandmaster Flash on one side and Africa Bambaataa on the other, and so the gym would be separate, and so he'd be set up on one side, or they'd be set up. They're like Africa Bambaataa be on the side, and he'd be playing. But then it was Grandmaster Flash's turn to play, and he'd go booga, 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 and everybody who was over here would turn around and dance to the other side of the gym, and the other guy was there playing, like crazy.
That's
just one of the many Charlie Baby stories. He's got tons of them. He was right there in the middle of it.
Such history, man. Right?
And let's forget about that. That he's got the history, but he was there, man. He edited and he worked on so many great records, like the Angie Kiss Me, Touch Me. He did Touch Me with Your Heart, Never Fall Apart. I mean, In the Name of Love, and You Take Me Higher. I mean, he did the edits on Baby Don't Go. He did Maribel, Roses Are Red. He's, Johnny O, Run Away. That's him in the background.
Really? Man.
His discography, he forgot more records than he worked than he'll tell you about. I think I did this record. Yeah, you did. Your name's right here.
Was he a solo artist, or was he part of a team back then?
He was part of a production team. He worked at Breakdown Studios. I think that's the name of the Arthur studio back in the day. So I mean, he was there when they were recording, like Looking for the Perfect Beat.
Yeah.
Like, he was in the studio. I could talk about Charlie's stories are so great, and he'll and when you hang out with him for a while, he'll tell another one. And you're like, you never told me that story. That's amazing.
Right.
Like, talking to this guy for the longest time, short guy, had blonde hair, spiky hair in the '80s, and English accent. Just talking to him for a long time. It was him and Arthur Baker, and a couple other people that were around. And just talking nonchalant, and he seemed like a cool guy. Charlie seemed like a cool guy. I told Arthur Baker, who was that dude? He goes, dude, that was Billy Idol. We just talked to Billy Idol for a half hour. You didn't know who you were talking to?
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
I love it. Charlie's got some great stories.
He's got so many stories, and that's I love that, man. That's what's up.
And I hope Charlie doesn't watch this. He'll say, dude, you're telling my stories.
Right. So with some of the other stuff, I want to remind people, because I think I like to remind people about the new music that we got to check it out. You're gonna like it. I mean, if Tim's playing it, it's gonna be hot. I mean, seriously, if Tim's playing it, it's hot. And obviously, I know a lot of the artists were doing the shows before the pandemic, but if they have, support the music. You know what I mean? On whatever stream, however it is, we can support it. But we want to do that, because I know it's a lot of work to put out new music, But I'll tell you what, Tim, man, this has been great. What do you think?
Fun, man, fun.
You had a good time?
And we're talking about my favorite subject, me. So okay.
So, but listen, man, we're, I appreciate your time. I know you're busy, and I appreciate you doing this. And Milwaukee loves you, man. You have a huge fan base here, and maybe we can do this again, right?
Absolutely. Just say when. Thank you. Hey, how old is your son now?
He's 10. He's 10.
We share a birthday. I know.
Yeah,
but,
he loves the blanket from when he was born, man. So,
dude, 10 years old. How can that be?
Wild, right?
Oh, anyway.
We always talk about you every birthday, man. We always talk about you. So
awesome.
But hey, say hi to Yvonne and
definitely
Pam, and we'll keep in touch, bro. But once again, thank you so much for doing this, Tim, and everybody. Thank you so much. We'll leave it there.
You already know. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, bro. God bless.